Radio. This is the Urban Suite D Major, Cheryl Metal. Joining us in studio right now, we're so happy to have JC Flores with us. How are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, sir. How are you? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody that's tuning in right now.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. I hope everything's been going well for you.
It's good, man. I've been very fortunate, very blessed. Gotta first off, real quick, just shout out my parents. So love you guys. But yeah, things have been going really good, man. I've been very fortunate and just trying to keep up with you guys.
Aww.
So.
Man, look like you've been doing that already. I already saw this posting right here. 100 playlist for your track on Audio Man?
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. So that one kind of took off, but then there's a couple of them, right? So aside from producing music, like I also market my own material, and a lot of the stuff that I do, is kind of just either trying to get it up on YouTube, anywhere that's accessible, for anybody that's like really into music, right? So. Yeah. That one was really cool, but then I have like a bunch of others that just kind of like took off the way. So for example, there's this one song that I produced a couple years ago with my friend Crayon, and so Crayon he's the lyricist that's on the song, and that one's almost gonna hit like 1 million, and so like periodically, it just starts growing on its own, right? And so. Now I think what he and I are kind of like working on is just trying to figure out, in terms of, are we going to leave this as a single project, or are we going to turn around and try to put this into some sort of EP or a collective. And there's another project with a friend of mine named Minus. And, Minus is, if you're not familiar with him, he does more hip hop. And he's got really good features with guys like Crooked Eye and
wow.
Like Royce the 5'9" was another one, and he just dropped an album, and so I was able to produce a few of the records on that. But we're looking to he wants to do a different kind of collab, so he's bringing the bars, and then I'm just gonna try to bring the beats. So it's gonna be kind of like an EDM, but I'm sure if you've heard my stuff, I'm kind of all over the place. So just anything that's gonna keep the vibe going and it's gonna keep the hype overall. So, yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, I don't want to talk your ear off,
No,
but
that is amazing.
I'm happy to answer any questions or elaborate. Elaborate on more. But I'm just very fortunate, man. It's definitely, like I was just telling Cheryl a couple minutes ago, I think it's been like 20 years, since we've known each other, and just the progression, just to see that it's awesome, bro. I hope I still look the same,
Yeah, just more mature. I see a little bit of gray on the side.
Yeah, a little bit of gray.
You're starting to look like your dad a bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Shouts out to dad.
Yeah, shouts out to dad.
Yeah, shouts out to mom and dad for supporting your son on the music scene the way that you have, because I know if it wasn't for y'all supporting him in the way that you do, he wouldn't be where he's at. So thank you so much. We appreciate you.
I wouldn't even be half the man I am today if it wasn't for a lot of the stuff that they did. So I attribute a lot of my success to my parents and God, and just very, very thankful. And obviously everybody that supports me. So I know a couple times I think you guys were able to catch a couple of the live streams I do on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, man, I just 2025 and moving forward, I think now I'm more focused on trying to figure out, what kind of mark would I be able to leave, like in the next 200 or 300 years, right? So, what is somebody going to think when they listen to Party Life music 200 or 300 years from now, or 1,000 years from now, right? I mean, I'm always trying to think ahead and anticipate what the next thing is going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Yeah. The interest in just, like I said, dabbling in all different genres and perfecting it, how does it feel to be working in, so many different areas?
It's different, man. First off, shout out to all the DJs in the room, right? So we have a couple DJs here, and I'm sure they could attest to this too. When you're rocking a crowd, you got to be able to kind of like fluctuate and most of all really try to anticipate how people are going to vibe. Right
Yeah.
now, today is going to be a little bit different, right? Because everybody's got a cell phone and doing the streaming, but 10, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, it was a different thing, and so when I came up, one of the first nightclubs I played at was a place called Club Antro. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yes.
Remember.
Yeah, and so
Oh, yes.
when I played at Club Antro, the guy, his name is also JC. He's a Puerto Rican guy, sound guy. And I think one of the biggest lessons I took away from that, is the fact that, like I have to be able to continue to bring, that energy and that vibe. And because if not, then the other guy's just going to come in and take your gig. Right. So it's very competitive.
Yeah.
And so, especially trying to stay like top notch. And so I was just very fortunate for that lesson, learning on and same thing with Xavier the freaking Rican.
Yes.
So shouts out to Xavier.
On the low, one of our dopest DJs in the city.
Hands down, between him and
I
Donnie
had
D.
the privilege of hiring him once.
Yeah.
And I was just watching him the whole time.
Amazing dude.
God.
And so humble. And,
Yeah.
And he was the guy who kind of gave me my start on radio, like way back when.
Shouts out to Xavier.
Yeah, shouts out to Xavier. So I have nothing but most respect for him, and I think as you get older, like you start to kind of think about like, well, what's the next trajectory? Like, where am I anticipating to go?
Yeah.
And so when you're DJing, you're kind of you're bouncing with a lot of ideas in your head. And so it gets very difficult to try to put that on some sort of canvas. So the only thing you do have is like your vinyl and your turntables and your mixer. And, you try to keep that hypeness going, for the majority. But now, transitioning from DJing and into like the studio, like, so I don't DJ anymore as now I'm like really focused on producing and I've been fortunate to kind of collaborate and work with a lot of artists. So there's a lot of being able to, manage a lot of different personalities in a studio environment. And then, basically owning yourself and making sure that your deadlines are being met. Most importantly, though, it really kind of comes down to, once you have that product, like what is the next thing that you're going to be able to do with it? Right. So it's one thing to come out with like the most amazing song with the amazing top line or vocalist or overall production. But if you don't have an audience or if you're not going out and trying to market it, it's just going to sit there.
Yeah.
And so it's going back to your original question. I think it's just, to me, it feels like it's getting to a point where you kind of have to figure out how to balance and prioritize, like you're going to come up with a really unique song that's going to touch somebody so well. But then at the same time, you have to be able to come up with a message, that could go ahead and communicate to them in a way that's going to make them stop scrolling when they're so, busy scrolling through everything else. So it's definitely, it's been, I feel like the studio has now become more of an environment where we're wearing multiple hats, right? And because we're constantly thinking. And so, like with me, sometimes it's almost where, like I almost have to just shut everything else out to be able to just concentrate on the music, because if not, my head starts working at 1,000 miles a minute, and then I start thinking about the branding, the marketing, the distribution, the promotion. Like how am I going to get this out? And then ultimately, when it comes down to it, how is the consumer, how is the individual, how is the person, the fan, going to identify, with the music the most? And so, like that's just, oh my gosh, it's been really cool. It's been very different. And, it's been very unique. So like my parents could tell you this, they sometimes if they see me in the studio and I'm just, it's almost like I'm, like I said, originally just 10 different bodies in one area, just trying to collectively come up with something. But then at the same time, like if I'm working at like Bad Vibe Studios with Dragon, it's more of like, okay, we have these chord progressions that we need to knock out. We have these top lines, these bass lines. I need you to program a beat, or I need you to drum a pattern, that's going to resonate with the vocalist. So it's multitasking on another level, like an endless video game, Yeah.
Like I said, we've definitely got to get you back to speak straight history and everything
Oh
about
man,
your
yeah,
music career
that'd
for
be
sure.
that'd be cool.
Before we get into your new song,
Yeah.
how can people stay on top of what you got going on your social media?
Yeah, so you can find me at Party Life Music everywhere. You know, so Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or the only JC Flores, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or the only JCFlores.com. So I do have a website. So reach out to me, hit me up. I mean, even if it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, like I'm all Gucci for that. Like, just let me know what's good.
That's what's up. Hey, y'all, stay tuned. In this block of music, we have brand new music from Toki Monster, plus a track from Rush Davis and Kingdom. But, JC, would you like to introduce your new track?
Absolutely. So if you're a fan of American Pie, you know, 90s pop punk rock, you know, Green Day, Blink 182, and everything in between, this song is called Sound the Alarm. I do hope that you enjoy it.
Yes, indeed. Hey, y'all, stay tuned. Dove Soul will be here very shortly. Do not go anywhere. This is the Urban Suite KSYM, San Antonio College Radio.